Hi, Bahamas. Alan Johnson, critical thinker. Many of you have been inboxing me and WhatsApping me, asking me what is my opinion on what is needed for the Bahamian economy to get jump-started. Well, there's two things, energy and capital. Without those two things, we're only spinning our wheels. And energy is one of the most important things because the entire basis of where we exist now is 90% plus of energy. We can't continue to pay the prices we pay for energy and remain competitive. The Bahamas is to be successful in the next coming 5 to 10 years. It has to get to sub 10 cents a kilowatt hour. We're paying 40 cents or more if I'm correct. Now, there's a number of economic models that's available. I want to clarify one thing for some individuals because oftentimes we've been using these terms and some of them are interchangeable. First, there's two digital economies. There's the small d that uses technology, processes, and etc. Then there's the big D for which the global economy is built on. That's the digital total infrastructure. You could consider the highways and the skies and the oceans and everything is the big D. As a thought process, and the small d is the internal country d, smaller d, technologies. But essentially, they're technically one and the same, but one is a smaller version of how you would think of things, and then one will be a larger version of how the whole world interconnects. One of the biggest mistakes we have in this town is that we hear government talking about this concept of digitization, digitalization, digital transformation. But when government speaks, it often has its focus on what the government is doing to digitize itself and the use of digitalization for access to government services. We are not in need of that. I mean, we are in need of it for the fact that we need government to be more efficient, but we need digitalization and digitalization and digital transformation of the economy, not just government. And so we have yet to begin to move towards that conversation. How do we digitize the economy? How do we use digitalization to maximize the economy and digital transformation to change the way we've done things? That's a conversation that's not coming from the chambers, not coming from anybody. And we have a lot of talking heads. I mean, that we're good at talking, but very limited on thought. So what we have to do is we have to somehow shift this conversation to the digitization of the economy, because that's what will grow the economy. Remember, government, for lack of a better word, is nothing more than a parasite that actually depends on the growth of the economy for its revenue. So we cannot digitize government and expect to see growth, because all that means is government will basically save on what we pay for services if we could ever reduce the number of people that do the same thing that digitization does or digitalization does. So we need to grow the economy. We need a moonshot moment, but we must address access to capital and access to lower cost energy. Access to capital is extremely easy now. The biggest problem, however, is that individuals are stuck into a habit of believing that the only resources and only access to capital is the modalities that we use in the Bahamas. That's not true. FinTech, DeFi, and so much different things gives Bahamian businesses access to billions in capital. The problem is we're in the habit of believing that banks and family, friends, lovers, and connections, whatever is it. But we're going to have a conversation concerning what FinTech and DeFi is going to bring to our economy. You can join me on my page across all the various different social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever. Follow me because this conversation has to begin. But going back to the various economic models, we have the green economy, the blue economy, the orange economy, the digital economy, the conceptual economy, the knowledge economy, and the aquamarine economy. Let me go over them again. You have the green, blue, orange, digital, conceptual, knowledge, and aquamarine economy. These are sub-economies like that, circle economy, etc. These major 7 economies is the key to the economic recovery of the Bahamas. But we must understand each one in its totality and broken down, individualized, because there's a many subcategory. Like hospitality and tourism is a major component of the Bahamian economy. Hospitality is what people experience. Tourism is what people do. And if you look at the green economy, there's hospitality and tourism. Look at the blue economy, there's hospitality and tourism. Look at the orange economy, there's hospitality and tourism. Look at the knowledge economy, hospitality and tourism. Look at the conceptual economy, hospitality and tourism. Look at the digital economy, there's hospitality and tourism. look at the aquamarine economy. There's hospitality and tourism. Actually, also, let me expand on the aquamarine economy. The aquamarine economy is a concept derived from one Eden Mary Gator. You can find on social media, Facebook, YouTube, whatever. In fact, if you want to find out about these various different economic models, you should go and look up on YouTube and look up on Facebook, Eden Mary Gator, and listen to her explanation of at least maybe 9 or 10 of these different economic models. But the aquamarine economy is a blending of the orange, the blue, the green, the knowledge, conceptual, and digital economies. It's a wonderful balanced blend, utilizing the most of those. I hope one day she will continue to explain on that. In fact, I'll reach out to her to ask her to. But the reason I speak about this access to capital, money and money don't make money, is money and ideas. So we have to begin to move to developing our ideas on how we're going to develop our country. But we need energy, and we are in a unique position as the government begin to talk about these carbon credits, carbon neutral and climate neutral type environment, carbon credits, blue carbon bonds, and all these different things. There's just no, so it's not lack of capital. There may be a lack of imagination. So what I want us to do is I want us to begin to do the research, but I want us to begin to have an honest conversation, which I'm going to begin this week. And I'm going to keep my promise, guys. We're going to have this conversation on what's now, what's new, and what's next. The new economy, building the new economy. I'm going to make myself available to individuals too. I'm going to limit myself to about 20 individuals who I will take, and I will become their personal impact officer, CIO, or chief information officer, or chief impact officer, so we can begin to have impact. And we're going to show you how to raise capital with minimal effort. And so, like when you need $1 million, just basically develop your business idea in such a way that you can find 500 people to give you $2,000. Or whatever combination there is, but it has to be defined. And so that's the type of conversation we're going to have. If you want to get into the bed and breakfast market, you want to go into home ownership, we're going to show you how to rethink that. Let's use home ownership as an example. The biggest problem we have with mortgages in the Bahamas is that individuals don't have enough income. But that's because you're looking at mortgages wrong. You have to begin to look at mortgages as a business, not as in the common manner that you've been doing. And so we're going to talk about how to look at mortgages as a business. So a bank or financial institution or whatever international lending institution will consider the business, and so you don't have the limitations of, oh, you're too old, you don't have enough income and whatever. They will look at the revenue sheet to find out is this a viable option. But you get to live in the house and you begin to make money. So we can have that conversation also. But back to energy, we must begin to look on how we move to clean energy and how we can do this. So there is virtual grids, there is microgrids. There's so many different ways that we can battle this. So we're going to have a conversation on energy. We're going to have a conversation on capital. But most of all, we must have a conversation on us, because we keep waiting for government to build our economy. Government does not build our economy. Like I said, government is a form of a parasite. It depends on the growth and building of the economy. But policies and legislation and programs should come from the people, from the influence of the people. And that's the problem, is that we keep looking for a select group of individuals, of 39 individuals in the House of Assembly, 16 in the Senate, to come up with all of the ideas with input from their support group. But the collective intelligence of all of us is greater than some of us. So I invite you to please go to AllenCJohnson.com, ALLENCJOHNSON.com, and get to all of my social media pages, so that as this conversation begins, we can move towards building back better, stronger together. Grand Bahama, you're special in my heart. And Abaco, by extension, you are a twin. And so a lot of my conversation is going to focus on opportunities that's available in the Grand Bahama market, as well as the Abaco market. And that's because New Providence is reached its maximum capacity for growth in the immediate current format it's using. Grand Bahama is the new frontier for home ownership, for business development, more so for getting into this orange, blue, green, knowledge, conceptual, digital, and aquamarine economies. You can actually move your family here to Grand Bahama, and for the price of what you would buy a quarter of an acre on New Providence, you can have a complete home, while entering these economies that doesn't necessarily require you to go to the office. We are in that big D environment, that global marketplace, and there are thousands of different variations of opportunities that's available to us. Please believe me, Grand Bahama, if you haven't thought about abandoning New Providence, Grand Bahama it's time for you to consider Grand Bahama as your home. The opportunities are here. The opportunities are in Abaco, more so in the hospitality and in the tourism industry. I know people say we need to diversify from I agree with them. We need to diversify from our hospitality. Diversify into. Hospitality is the 10th largest industry in the world. So for you to leave the 10th, you must be going to 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So you can't be going to another model. The fact is that we have barely touched maybe 1, 2% of the potential of hospitality. And so it's a unique opportunity for us to grow this economy in the short, medium, and long term while looking at different avenues for us to basically touch on. But let's start the conversation. Which now? Which new? What's next? At arlencjohnson.com. You can find me on social media, all the social media platforms. Look for me on Facebook. Look for me on Instagram. Look for me on TikTok too. Look for me on Twitter. And so we can break this down into nuggets for digestible means of achieving it. And so please, I'm not going to keep this any longer. Join me. Let's have an honest conversation. For those of you that is interested in becoming maybe my first cohort of individuals that want to go from concept to reality, including raising the capital that you need, please reach out to me across my social media platform. On WhatsApp, it's 825-9700, 825-9700. It's going to be a small fee for my time and effort, but what I will do is I'll take you from concept to reality in these various different economic models. And I want a small group of individuals, maybe about 20 individuals, 25 at most, so that I can give you personalized attention, get you out of the incubation stage and functioning on your own, so you could age out and somebody else can pop in. Thank you once again for tuning in for this. I'd appreciate if you share this video among your friends, your family, whatever. Once again, 825-9700. The conversation is, what's now, what's new, what's next? Let's help our government build back better, stronger together.